We provide knowledge transfer sessions on products, solutions, services, and support. Today, we start a series dedicated to roles: architects, developers, and administrators. By the end of this presentation, you will have a clear understanding of how to best design, build, and administer your applications on SAP BTP and how to make your life easier. A warm welcome and thank you for joining our first episode of SAP BTP Guidance Framework, how to empower architects, developers, and administrators. I have here with me Katrin von Asen, Chief Product Expert, SAP BTP Advisory and Discovery Center, and René de Daniel, Principal Enterprise Architect, SAP LeanIX. Katrin is responsible for the SAP BTP Guidance Framework, including the SAP BTP Reference Architects at SAP Discovery Center. Furthermore, she owns the integration best practices, such as the SAP Integration Solution Advisory Methodology and the Integration Architecture Guide. René is a seasoned enterprise architect expert with a strong background in SAP and LeanIX methodologies, recognized as a thought leader in the field. Throughout his career, René has successfully coached and trained enterprise architects teams, translating complex business strategies into effective IT strategies and governing portfolio prospects for alignment with defined roadmaps and standards. Now, before handing over to our experts for today's session, let me quickly provide you an overview of the, here we go, of what's coming. So the next session of today's series is on February 4th, and the next one is February 13th. In addition, I would like to share with you that there are further 2 series you can register to related to BTP. So BTP overview sessions on the main pillars, an exploration of the latest updates, and mastering day 2 operations in SAP BTP. Also a guide for architects, developers, and administrators. And with this, I would like to hand over to Katrin. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Tanya, for the great introduction, and thanks for having you all here. So it's really a pleasure for us, from myself and René, to walk you here through this session, paving the way for architects to shine with SAP BTP. So let's first take a look at the agenda. So maybe, René, you can flip the slide. Okay, now it works, right? So as just outlined, right, we have actually 3 webinars planned, right? Looking at the SAP BTP guidance framework, and actually subdivided the webinar series in the 3 episodes as outlined before. And today we will look what's in it for you if you're working in the role of a solution architect, right? How to design actually such kind of enterprise grade solutions. And here we not focusing on the best practices delivered with SAP BTP guidance framework, but also at how LeanIX can help you to run and drive these transformations. So we will start to look at the IT transformation challenge a lot of enterprises are dealing with as of today. Then we will continue with LeanIX, take a look how LeanIX can help you to gain insights and visibility into your current application IT landscape. Then we will look at how the BTP guidance framework can help you to design really the to-be architecture. And then we continue again with LeanIX and show you how to plan and govern the IT transformation. Then we have some further information and links for you for taking the next steps, right, to get started. And at the end, we will also open up for question and answers. So kicking it off with the IT transformation challenge, right? So lots of things going on at today's enterprises, right? The need for modernize the technology and application landscape, right? Moving towards cloud-based solution, right? And when you look especially at the SAP customer base, there is a strong and huge transformation going on towards SAP S/4HANA Cloud, right? In this context, there are lots of questions which arise. For instance, what to do with custom code, right? How to follow actually a clean core strategy are one of the most prominent questions. On the technology side of the house, it's the question how to deal with legacy technologies, right? How to identify the ones when they are phasing out and what are the natural successor of those? How to deal with the new technologies like artificial intelligence, generative AI. And this is really important to modernize the landscape holistically, to introduce an agile IT, and also to introduce a governance to guide your organization through this transformation. And this is actually typically quite challenging because lots of organizations are structured in silos, right? There's one team taking care of the SAP solutions, another one of the technology side of the house, and so on. And it's really challenging to get started, to get an overview of where you are and actually to identify the journey where you're heading for. So the first challenge is actually the missing visibility into the as is landscape, right? As a first step. And once you have this clarity, the design of the to be landscape. So based on the best practices to define here the target architecture. And once you have defined that, how to transform actually and plan this transformation and execute on that. And here, actually, let's kick it off now or continue here with LeanIX. René, can you show us actually how LeanIX can help you to gain actually the needed visibility into the as-is landscape?
Yes. Thanks a lot for handing over, Katrin, and also warm welcome from my side. So let's have a look into how LeanIX can help here. And we have a very structured approach where we have defined our meta model with the 12 potentially known fact sheets, which we use in order to structure the information. And this can be information around the current landscape, for example, but also how the future would look like. And you see it here, it's defined on various levels. So we have here on the top the strategy and the transformation with the objectives. That's also then representing the company goals and also initiatives. So where we want then to model and understand how do we transition from the today's world over to the target situation which we are planning. The second layer is the business architecture, very prominent in here, the business capabilities, as these are the, let's say, the common language between the business and the IT. We have the organization, as we want to plan where do we, for example, implement certain applications and which part of the organization, and the business context. This is what you would then also know as process models. It's modeled as a business context in LeanIX. And then we have the application and data architecture with the application fact sheet data and interfaces, of course, so where we can also model data flows. And finally, more on a technical level, we have the IT components, the technology categories, and also the providers. And depending on what kind of question or challenge we have in front of us, we can use either specific reports or diagrams or roadmaps to visualize the necessary information. But that's in short how we gain the insights with the help of LeanIX. Having said that, let's now first have a look in such a report that you get a kind of an impression what we can do with LeanIX. And for this, I will just swap over to the browser window, and I have already opened up here a session. So what you see here is an IT component landscape. So we have selected or modeled here IT components They're grouped by technology categories. And you see now, for example, that we have application servers, we have application hosting, we have web clients in here, and maybe others which are not assigned. And with the help of the time dimension, we can now also see that, for example, certain IT components are actually going end of life. So let me move towards 2028. And you see now the color coding is changing. So here, the SAP NetWeaver application server for ABAP 7.5 is kind of going end of life towards the end of 2027. As this is a repository in the background, I could now, for example, go into this NetWeaver application server fact sheet. I can open up here the fact sheet itself. This is like the data container, which holds all the information. And here I have more information, like, for example, the lifecycle information, which we have seen. We have also information around what kind of applications are running on this IT component. But I could also have more information like initiatives which are linked to this technology categories. I could also do a technical fit, for example, to understand what's the situation. And as mentioned, we have here multiple applications running. So what we would like to demonstrate is also how can we now navigate from the technology itself to an understanding of the applications. And for this, I will just open this managed company car cost and tax application, because that's leading us to our example. You see that I have also here an area where I can then also see on which other diagrams, for example, this application is used. And with this, let me open this diagram about the company car management, which is the as-is situation. And I will hand over to Katrin to explain what is the current challenge in here.
Yeah, so let's take a look. Let's break it down, right? We started with a holistic approach on landscape transformation. Let's break it down in smaller pieces. So here we depicted one example actually of a custom-built company car management solution of an enterprise. And here there's a need to re-architect the solution, right? You can see actually that this application is here defined or takes care of ordering company cars, managing returning company cars, so several applications which are integrated here with through interfaces with SAP ERP solution, as you can see on the right-hand side, right? And the ERP 6.0, what we can also see is based here on the NetWeaver stack. And there is actually also an end-of-life date defined. The custom applications are also built on technologies which are based on the same technology. Hence, this means they will also run out of maintenance, and there is a need to take an action on that. It's not only here these dates which are making the case for redesigning and re-architecting the solution. It's also the case that this solution doesn't meet today's need anymore, right? So there is a need for a central entry point towards managing company cars for the employees, also requiring a single sign-on experience, which is currently not possible. As you can see, this customer is already starting to adopt cloud-based solution here. For instance, Ariba procurement solution and a third-party human capital management solution running also in cloud, right? And here, the application for ordering and managing company cars would actually also require some integration points with these applications. And so there is a need to take an action on that. But before looking at the target architecture, René, right? So we have seen here just a little example with a few applications described in technology components. But now looking at today's enterprises, right? They have in reality hundreds of different applications they need to manage, to monitor, to maintain, and so on. So how to get actually all this data into LeanIX and how to make sure that it's always up to date. So can you show us a little bit more on this topic?
Yes. So let me move back to our presentation. And on the next slide, I will first of all explain the new landscape discovery. New in the sense that this was added to LeanIX over the last 6 months in multiple iterations. So in summertime, we started to connect LeanIX with the Cloud ALM. It's more like a technical proxy, which you need in order to identify the software as a service applications which are running in a specific customer context. So once you have done the connection, you can then go into a discovery inbox where all the data which is retrieved is showing up. So it's like a staging area that you have not to now import or create all the fact sheets which are possible, but you can say or pick and choose which of the fact sheets you would like to link to either existing fact sheets or to create them new. And then you can later build the reports on top of it. So that actually eases quite a lot the creation of, for example, application and IT component and provider fact sheets, as this is discovered automatically. In November, we have then added the next, let's say, feature, which is now also about the on-premise landscape. So meaning we have now also the possibility to discover your SAP landscape and then see either ECC components or S4 or whatever is deployed in your landscape that you have not to create it from scratch, but get it automatically through the landscape discovery. Let me also quickly show that in the system. This is more from the, let's say, conceptual point of view, that once you have the connection, you can then also on a continuous discovery approach identify the respective applications and keep them up to date. So what we do here is we this go back into the administration area, which you see here on the left-hand side, the different options we have. And then under integrations, we normally find the different integration points of LeanIX with the ecosystem. Yeah, so this we just configured here the two. I will show you the landscape, the SAP landscape discovery, but there are much more possibilities. So, for example, integration with the process side. So with Signavio, we could integrate Jira, Colibra for data, and others. I will not spend too much time on this because we wanted to show here the SAP landscape discovery. So if I'm opening up this one here, I can show you here the configuration. Right now, we have only turned on the software as a service product discovery, but we could also enable here the on-premise systems. And once then the retrieval of information is running, all the data is first of all showing up here in the discovery inbox, which I can show you here. And you see here, there's also a nice summary. Currently, we have 5 applications linked, but there are yet another 96 in this demo environment, which you could then also link to our fact sheets. And you see here, first entry is here the field service management. So there's action needed in the sense of that we now say, okay, I would like to create this fact sheet as of type application with the underlying IT component and also the information around the provider, which is in this case certainly SAP. So here in the inbox, we have then the possibility to create our respective application, IT component and provider fact sheets and populate with this our inventory and then put some specific reports on top where we can then also augment with lifecycle information like we have seen before.
Hey, Daniel, that's really cool, but these are just the applications. So what's about BTP?
Yes, so this is a very good question. That's something which is on the horizon, it's on the roadmap, to be honest. So in the next steps, we will also discover BTP services, yeah, which we will also see a little bit later, how we will model this with LeanIX, but we also want to have an auto discovery for this, as well as also for interfaces, so that we also understand what kind of interfaces are we operating in our company, that we also have here possibility for auto discovery, that we have not to model everything, let's say from scratch. Good. So having said that, let's now maybe look back to the company car and how would that, the company car example, Katrin, how that would evolve moving forward.
Yeah, let's go back to the presentation. So here we move on now to define actually how to define the target architecture. And here that's actually the time where the BTP guidance framework comes into the game, right? And here, as you can see on the next slide, let me flip. Is an overview of the BTP guidance framework, right, where we have actually all the assets also linked to that. And now we will focus just on the ones which are relevant for architects. So referring here to solution architects. We have here a bunch of decision guides, then also methodology and reference architectures. Moving back to the example of the company car solution, this is actually an extension which is built and complements actually the SAP lines of business solutions, right? Extending here the functionality. And regarding that, to give you some guidance, actually how to assess the requirements and how to define here and identify the target technology, we provide a methodology, which is the SAP application extension methodology, which you can find here in the middle. So let's take a look at the phases of this methodology. The first phase is designed to help you to identify the requirements, right? The system context and also the business context of the extension use case. In the second phase, you assess the technical requirements in more detail, right? And here we have really a structured approach, starting from a bird's eye perspective with the extension styles, then looking at extension task, and finally perform a technology mapping. So figure out what kinds of technology you require for implementing such an extension. And this is actually here how this look like for the example of a new interface related to the presentation tier, right? And this is exactly what this company card solution is about. It's a user-centric application where you create actually a custom UI or custom applications for your employees to deal with these to order company cars. And here the extension tasks can be subdivided into the extension domains, which you can either implement in the core. That means as part of the applications as such. So referring, for instance, to SAP S/4HANA, the solution and other SAP applications offer actually extension options as part of their core. Another option is to do the extension side by side. Side by side means here on SAP Business Technology Platform. And as you can see, we have here actually several options you can choose from. And now the tricky question is actually which one to choose. And that's where the extension architecture guide comes into the game, which provides you actually the needed help to identify here the right technology for your needs. So let's move on to the extension architecture guide, which you can find at the help portal. The guide is actually based on the application extension methodology, which I have shown you before. And there's already guidance provided for the presentation tier for creating custom tasks. And you find here a nice crisp overview of the different technology options you have seen before on the slide, right? And also recommendations are being given when to use it and also things to consider. And based on my business requirements and technical requirements, I can now identify the right technology for my needs. And here, I have to say that here, SAP Build Apps seems to be the appropriate solution because this includes low-code and no-code development features. And this is very nice because I'm lacking actually skilled experts, developers, and hence I would prefer to go for such kind of a low-code and no-code development approach. And now moving back to the presentation, there is actually the question, okay, I've identified now the technology, but how does actually the architecture look like, right? So I have other requirements like to provide a central entry point for this solution, not to have server solutions for that, to enable a single sign-on experience and so on. And for this purpose, we offer here the SAP BTP reference architectures. These are available at SAP Discovery Center, right? I think most of you might know it. Discovery Center is the place to go for where you can discover BTP services, AI features. You can also start missions to get started implementing solution. And we have also the reference architectures published there. And here, let's take a look what's in there for the build apps, right? Where I thought that is actually a good fit for my requirements. And here I have in reference architectures to establish a central entry point. And this is exactly what I'm looking for, right? So here an architecture with SAP build apps and also build work zone, which offers also fulfills my other requirements like a single sign-on experience with the help of SAP Cloud Identity Services. And it provides also connectivity options to SAP cloud applications, also to SAP towards third-party solutions, which I also require. Right, and every reference architecture, it's not only the diagram, we also provide guiding information, right, like characteristics and also examples about when to choose these architectures, right? And here enhancing employee engagement and productivity, that's actually what I'm looking for. So I come to the conclusion, let's go for this solution architecture. So what we have seen here at Discovery Center is the solution architecture as a kind of blueprint. And René, so how can you actually use such reference architectures as part of LeanIX and also related to your technology landscape?
Yes. So let's have a look into this, and I will show here a feature which was recently added. It was prior to Christmas. So we have now the possibility, if you go to the diagrams in LeanIX, that you find here in the section of templates exactly what you have seen in the Discovery Center. So we have now the BTP reference architecture diagrams added here. And we could now pick and choose the one or the other as a template and then create our specific diagram out of it. So let me take the SAP Central Entry Point with SAP Build Zone. And now we have to see if that's loading properly. That's maybe the demo effect. So all the, let's say the reference architectures which are on the Discovery Center, they are based on Draw.io, so which we have now also imported here as part of the templates. Let me just go back. Maybe there's something still adjusting. Yeah, so now we see it, and pretty much what you saw before in the same format. You see now here this diagram. You can use this now as a template, and out of this you can create your own, let's say, solution architecture. You have also the possibility then to link specific symbols here with your BTP services and components, so that you put it in the context of your customer environment and also the hyperscaler setup and so on and so forth. So I think that will also lead us to the next question. How are we now actually modeling the specific BTP pieces, the platform, the services in LeanIX? And for this, Katrin, I'm handing over back to you. And I guess
great.
Up to the presentation.
Yeah, so now we have actually gained the visibility in the landscape. We have identified the target landscape architecture, right? And now it's time to plan and govern the transformation or the implementation of the new architecture with LeanIX. And here it's a question about how to model BTP in LeanIX. And René already outlined here the meta model of LeanIX at the beginning of the session, and I would like now just to highlight the most important fact sheet types, right? So let's start at the bottom with the IT components. IT components are actually used for modeling BTP services. There are different subtypes available, like software as a service or platform as a service, which are used to model and define BTP services in LeanIX. Another subtype is also available, which is infrastructure as a service, which is used for modeling the data centers where actually the BTP tenants are resided, like the hyperscaler and also the location information. The provider of the BTP services is then SAP. Applications you build actually on BTP, so custom applications like Fiori applications or the ones you're built with CAP and build and so on, these are modeled as application using the application fact sheet type. And what's also very important is the object fact sheet type of the platform. So here that's actually the fact sheet type for modeling the BTP account structure. And this is really great because it gives also visibility into the account structure and setup for your organization. So these are actually the most important fact sheets types for BTP. So depending on your requirements, you can also look at other ones. So for instance, as interfaces, as we have also seen in this example before. And now let's take a look also at the example of modeling or the future architecture of this company car solution. So maybe Daniel, you can René, do the flip going here to the LeanIX overview. So we have to exit here that. Discard changes and go back here to the diagrams. Where do we have them?
If you go to the, I can just navigate over.
Yeah, that would be cool.
All diagrams.
All diagrams. Okay, yeah. And here we have actually the target solution defined. And that's really a nice example where you can see how these different fact sheet types are being used, right? So here now we have filtered it on the IT components with the different subcomponents. And here we can actually see further at the bottom how the BTP services are being modeled, right? So here build apps is here in this context modeled as a platform as a service solution. We have built work zone use, task center, and all are used for my custom built application, which is then also modeled as a fact sheet type using the fact sheet type application. And we have also here modeled the data center using the subtype infrastructure as a service. And the new application is also connected here to the application using the interface fact sheet type of LeanIX. And here the platform fact sheet type is used to model the account structure. We have here a global account structure defined with the corresponding sub accounts. And it's not that you only draw here this diagram. You can also enrich it based on the information you have in your inventory, right? So hence you can also expand here the scope of different components outlined. Here, just using here the context information. So here you can, for instance, show the dependency as defined here in your inventory, and you can here add actually further solution like SAP DataSphere to this overview. And with that, you can also further enhance here the architecture moving forward. Yeah, so that was actually an example about the future design and architecture of this specific example of a company car management solution. And René, you have actually some further tips and tricks, so what to consider when modeling BTP in LeanIX. So could you share some further best practices on that?
Yes. So I will just discard here the changes. So I mean, first of all, we have seen here the structure of the platform, yeah, with the global account. That can also be displayed with the help of a report. So we have here an IT components by platform report, where you then see the specific IT components running on specific sub accounts. And you see here, these are now all labeled or named as productive accounts. And let me go back to the slide deck where you also find this report in here. So what we recommend is, and especially when we talk about BTP in combination with S4 as an extensibility layer, that you mimic actually what you have in your S4 system landscape. So you see here, this is a very classical three-tier landscape with development, with QA, with production. Some customers, they have maybe 4 or even 5. So we're not counting the sandbox. But our best practice is that you mimic also here the respective sub-accounts on BTP in order to reduce the effort to now set up here specific interfaces, for example, and that you have not to rewire a QA to development or vice versa, but that you have always a clear separation of concerns between the S4 and the respective sub-accounts, and then you can also move things over depending on your test plan, and then test it really through end to end, and then finally move it into production. So that's one best practice we are recommending, especially in the combination with S4, be it on premise or in the cloud, from an S4 point of view. Good.
Great. And what's about governance, right? So we have now defined the target architectures and recommended technologies. So Renee, so how can we actually guide our developers and all the colleagues actually working on these applications to choose and pick the right technologies? So what does LeanIX provide me with that?
So also very valid question, yeah, because I mean, especially when you start large transformation programs, there is normally a central group identifying, okay, what kind of technologies do we want now to use? So that's the technology standards management. And we have also included here an example. I will show this in a moment in LeanIX. We are using here the radar report, which you might know from technology radar discussions or other means. So what you see here, we have split this into the 6 sections here with application development, automation, AI, for example, data and analytics. And now we have here also the possibility specific to your company context to say, look, we have certain things we would like not to go or use anymore. That would be in the hold area. We have an assess, we have trial, and also an adopt section. So let me quickly show you this, and that could also be a kind of a guideline to the developers to understand, okay, what should I now use and what not? And you can also include here some comments, some rationale why things should be done in a certain way. So for this, we again go here into the reports. You see I've stored all the important ones which we are showing today as part of favorites, so you can easily consume them from here. And you see here we have now this BTP technology radar with the different IT components. You always see here on the top what is meant or what we are demonstrating or showing here. And now let's assume here, for example, in the we have heard the build code topic before. So in the assess, we're saying here for now we focus on low code, no code, but want to start exploring pro code for first projects to validate whether it's delivering the expected value. Yeah, so this is something where we would then position it in the assess area from an application development and automation point of view, and that would give developers the insight, okay, what to use, what not. For example, here forms, the Adobe forms, they should not be used anymore. So here you can give guidance in terms of the governance for the adoption of technology or capabilities. Good. So with this, I think we've showed you quite some details also. Now let's see Katrin, what are the next steps? How can people get up to speed, get more insights, get more hands-on experience, maybe also?
Yeah, so so first of all, to wrap things up, right? I think it was really a good example which showcased how you can nicely clap LeanIX and BTP guidance framework. So LeanIX here in this context plays a crucial role and helps you to provide actually central repository of your business applications, also for your IT landscape with all relevant content, right? You have seen the great meta model and all the relationships and insights it can provide you with that. And on the other side of the house, we have the BTP guidance framework, which is a go-to place for finding out best practices about how to design actually enterprise-grade solutions, be it integrations, be it extensions or some data and analytical solutions on top of BTP. And here it's actually a good approach to club the two for making the most out of it, right? It's not mandatory to use both together, but it adds actually a significant value, even when you look at a larger context, when you're also undergoing some transformations, for instance, on the application side of the house. So what are actually the recommended next steps? So if we have sparked your interest, you can continue the journey with us and get started with the learning journey. We have here one recently launched about becoming an SAP BTP solution architect. So describing actually architectural methodology and concepts, and also provides you further information about the BTP guidance framework, right? And then, Renee, we have also something from LeanIX, right? So can you share some details about that?
Yes, we have also here a training, a learning journey where you can get the insights around LeanIX. It's also ending up with a certificate, the SAP Certified Associate Enterprise Architect Consultant. If you're interested to run this, please access it here via the link. It's kind of 5 hours of investment. It's also free, the learning journey itself.
Cool. Yeah. And with that, we are actually done with the first episode, right? And stay tuned for more. So we have some further episode in the pipeline already scheduled. The ones for developers on February 4th, and the ones for the administrators on February 13th. So here the link and QR code for sign up is included. And yeah, so with that, we are done with the presentation and we can look at the questions, right?
Yes. So I will stop sharing that we can hear the question.
Perfect. Yes, thank you so much. And let me start by thanking you for your excellent presentation. And we do have questions. So the first question is, what input LeanIX requires to get the insights?
Yeah. So, I mean, first of all, it very much depends what kind of insights you want to achieve. So what we have seen before is, for example, with the help of the landscape discovery, we can get all the information around applications and IT components of the current landscape, and in the future also BTP services, so that we have a good understanding of what applications are we operating today, either in the cloud or on-premise. Yeah? And then, I mean, if we look towards the future planning of the to-be architecture, there we also offer, and we haven't alluded to this today, a lot of reference content. So if you start to build, for example, a business capability model, you have not to start from scratch. This is something where you can even choose your industry. We have, I think, currently 18 industries available. By the end of the year should be around the 25, which are known, that you can use kind of out of the box capability model. And from there, as it's the reference architecture, you could also derive the target solutions. Yeah, not only restricted to S4, but to the business suite as such. And with this information, you can then also start to do the transformation planning. Yeah. And as mentioned, interfaces are on the horizon. So let's say our notion is that you can start very quickly because we have this automated discovery. In other cases, if it's maybe in the non-SAP world, that's normally also a question which is then asked. You can also upload information with Excel templates, which are quite convenient to get first data into the LeanIX workspace.
Great. Thank you so much. The next question refers to LeanIX again. Could you please tell us the purpose of LeanIX in one sentence?
So we want really to professionalize enterprise architecture practice and the ways of working. And for this, we have multiple use cases. So you have to look then from a value perspective into the use cases. So there is one very common one, which is application portfolio management and rationalization. Yeah, so where you want maybe to identify in which countries or regions am I using for the same capability multiple applications, and is there a way to consolidate this in order to save money at the end? That would be one. The other one is certainly, especially in the SAP context, around transformation. So today I'm here in my current landscape. I'm planning to move to the cloud, to RISE, to S4. How can I now get from A to B in a given point in time, also reducing risk? Yeah, because I want to get these insights and the dependencies. If I'm touching something, how can I ensure that I'm going into the right direction? Yeah, so
René, this was not one question. I know it from your marketing material. It's just the Google Maps for enterprise IT. I think that is really true, right? To get actually the visibility where you are and where you are heading for. So I think that's also a nice analogy for what LeanIX is doing, right?
Right. Yeah.
Great. Thank you to both of you. The next question is LeanIX license included with Calm, and is LeanIX part of landscape management capability under Calm?
So LeanIX is a separate license. Yeah, so it has nothing, let's say it's independent. It's an independent product in its own category, enterprise architecture management category, independent from cloud application lifecycle management. And I think maybe important for the audience here, if you are on a RISE journey, then there are options that you get a workspace with a certain number of applications. So it's then part of a more commercial package, but other than that, it's an independent product which needs to be licensed.
Thank you. So we will be upgrading to a new version of SAP S/4HANA 2023. In this version, is this version compatible with the integration with Microsoft Teams?
Does it refer to LeanIX or the guidance framework, this question?
Maybe we can put it back into
I think you showed, René, you showed something about Teams integration, maybe.
In LeanIX, yeah, but this is independent from S4. This is really the Teams as a collaboration platform.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we have to follow up on that question.
Okay, so we will follow up on that. The next question, in the company car example, how does SAP LeanIX support the maintenance of candidate and transition architectures, especially when time is more critical than conformance, as is often the case?
Oh, I think LeanIX cannot do that magic, right? And actually resolve all the timing challenges, but it can provide actually the visibility, right? You have also the milestones and so on. Maybe René, you can share some insights into that.
Yeah. So first of all, it can be, as Katrin rightly mentioned, it can be around the visibility dependencies you can analyze. What you can also do is you can model transitions like a simulation. Yeah, that you say, look, if we have a very aggressive timeline, it would look like this, but we might face certain risks, yeah, which management has then to take into account or understand what's the residual level of risk if you do a mitigation and then decide if they can live with it or not. Or you could then also show a similar target, but maybe over a slightly different time frame. And this can all be modeled with so-called transformations without doing it, putting it active in the repository, but more showing how it could look like. And only once it's decided, you can then activate it. And that's also quite powerful feature. Think also from a more holistic point of view, if you plan S4 transformation rollout in multiple countries, for example, you could do here different simulations of how it could look like and then have a discussion with your stakeholders. And I think that's very important that the stakeholder discussion and interaction is one of the value propositions, that they understand what are potential risks or dependencies in order then to take a decision.
Great, thank you so much. Katrin, is there a roadmap to integrate the reference architecture with an AI agent? So it might suggest some models based on the architect's input.
Yeah, so here we are also looking into that, right? So there is actually the option, right, that you just provide some basic information, what kind of architecture you are looking for, and based out of this input, you can AI can generate actually a proposal, high-level architectures with the needed components. So this is also something we are looking at, but here we have also be careful and properly actually train the model that we will have valid recommendations at the end. But for sure, this is also a topic we are also looking in for evolving the reference architectures further.
Thank you so much, Katrin. Next question is, with respect to the radar governance topic, how does LeanIX capture architecture compliance reviews to help assess conformance with business objectives?
Yes, yeah, very good topic. So we are planning to release in February a new functionality, which is the so-called architecture decision record. And this is a capability which is covering the entire governance process where certain decisions need to be taken. So there will be kind of a template where you can then capture your architecture decisions by also linking your specific fact sheets, diagrams, even with versions, that you understand, okay, in that point of time, in January 2025, I've taken this decision based on that information. And we will also include, moving forward, architecture principles in there, because the architecture principles are at the end your guardrails against which you rate a certain solution proposal and then take your decision if you move ahead or not, or if you have a conditional approval. I mean, like you know it from, let's say, architecture review boards. So the whole governance piece will be supported moving forward. I hope that we will hear soon some announcements. There's an early adoption program currently running, and that looks very promising, let's say. And February is not far out, to be honest.
That is true. Katrin, does the BTP guidance framework also offer guidance regarding other topics than extensibility?
Yeah, so as for the demo today, we just looked at an extensibility use case, right? It's very common use case, especially in context of this transformation with SAP S/4HANA to adopt a clean cost strategy. But for sure, it also includes the BTP guidance framework covers also other topics. For instance, on integration, we have an integration methodology in place, also an integration architecture guide, and also the corresponding reference architectures at Discovery Center. Same holds true actually for other technology topics, and we are also working on expanding the scope moving forward.
Thank you so much. And René, So the fact sheet provides a summary of all the tools and services used in building an application, right?
So we have, I mean, if you have IT components like we have shown it, there would be for each IT component one fact sheet. And that can sum up into an application. So you would rather start application from a business point of view, which you, if you have a custom extension, and then you say, okay, what kind of IT components actually is my application built on? So that's the relationship here. So it's like a kind of one-to-N relationship, you can say.
Thank you. And then so far, the last question is there any possibility for partners or even regular users to obtain trial access to the enterprise architecture tools with LeanIX?
Yes, so I know that we have a partner program. So I think in this case, best is to approach your SAP partner manager to see how you get the workspace. And for training purposes, I know that there's a demo environment. If you attend that training, which we have also shared with you, you can then also get access to a workspace and deep dive and understand how the modeling was done.
Great. Thank you. Well, there's actually another question for both of you. Do I have to use SAP BTP guidance framework together with SAP LeanIX?
No, so actually you can use both as is, right? So it's not mandatory. However, you have seen it delivers additional value when clubbing the two, right? So the BTP guidance framework delivers the guidance you need for architecting these solutions, right? In an SAP context, and in turn, LeanIX covers actually not only BTP, it covers much more, so which we haven't presented, like application modernization, rationalization, so lots of other things, right, René?
Yes, yeah, that's so it's I mean, first of all, you could use the two independent from each other, but certainly we see value, yeah, as we.
Oh no, he's frozen.
Yes, he is frozen. So maybe in the meantime, until he unfreezes, we can ask the next question. Give me a second to get back to the questions. So we have invested in the integration solution advisory methodology. How do we include the methodology within LeanIX?
Yeah, here the SAP Integration Solution Advisory, or in short, simply ISAM, right? We defined it, and it's also part of the BTP guidance framework. And you can also use LeanIX for defining, for applying the methodology, right? So the ISAM is structured into 4 different phases, and similar as you have seen here in the with the extension use case, you start first of all with an assessment of your current architecture, and here actually also LeanIX can be used for that. And also when you define the target architecture, you can also apply here the concepts of the methodologies like integration styles, integration domains, and use case patterns as part of LeanIX. So there's no actually template available for that, but here we have also some best practices defined how you can implement the integration methodology with the help of LeanIX.
Thank you so much, Katrin.
Good.
Now, the next question is, how are the SAP LeanIX Academy and the SAP Learning Hub different?
Yeah, that's a very valid question. So if you go to the LeanIX Academy, you would find the practitioner level 1 and the practitioner level 2 training offer. Yeah. For this, you need a workspace access. So you have to be a registered user. While the training, which we have in the slide deck, slides will be shared afterwards, is exactly this combination of practitioner 1 and 2, and you can consume it for free via the SAP Learning Hub. So, I mean, with the acquisition of LeanIX, there's now things coming closer together. So moving forward, you will get more and more information also on the Learning Hub. Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. I think we are done. And so just in case there are other questions that pop up later after the session is over, please feel free to add them in the comments area underneath this video. We will be observing that area and make sure that you get your answers. And but I mean, we're absolutely perfect. We're almost on top of the hour. So once again, a big thank you to our experts live for your excellent presentation and answering all the questions. A big thank you to Ceci, who is invisible, but working very hard in the background and providing all the links in the chat. Thank you so much. Last but not least, of course, a big and heartfelt thank you for our attendees for joining. And I hope I will see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.